Welcome to the Cabral Concept, where board-certified naturopath and integrative health practitioner Dr. Stephen Cabral shares how he was diagnosed at the age of 17 with a life-altering illness and given no hope for recovery. It was only after studying and traveling all over the world did he discover how to combine ancient Ayurvedic healing practices with state-of-the-art naturopathic and functional medicine to fully rebalance the body and re-energize it with life. It's time to discover how to get well, lose weight, and finally feel alive again. And now, here's your host, Dr. Stephen Cabral.
Welcome back, everyone. We're here today with our Friday review. Excited to be here with you, closing the week strong. Friday review is absolutely one of my favorite shows. It's a little bit more relaxed. They're all pretty relaxed, but we are talking about health. We are talking about your wellness, maybe a family member's wellness, and the topics can certainly be serious at times. But what I'd love to be able to do is by the end of the week, wrap things up and then roll right into the weekend with the Ask Cabral host calls. So what I'm going to do right now, go over the updates from the week. I just want to bring you one or two this week. Love to be able to introduce you to a brand new product that is debuting. The reason why we formulated it and why I've been using it since, over 10 years now from before for my internships overseas. I'll talk a little bit about that. Want to go over a podcast recap, and then I literally have so many books. I've got so many products to review with you, which is pretty amazing because it either seems like, what do they call it? Feast or famine. It's, I haven't had a lot of new products that I've wanted to review for a while. Some of them have been sitting in the queue, like the sauna blanket, which was great to be able to review. Probably another month or so, I'll review the continuous glucose monitor. Anyway, lots of products to review. And this week is no different. But today I'm going to go over two Ayurvedic herbs, one of the reasons why I use them, why I love them. And then I'm going to go over a book by one of my favorite authors who's a physician that is now a retired physician. And then some great research today on improving blood sugar with one simple spice. I've talked about it before, but you definitely need to check out the research on this. And then omega-3s, how much to use to work on body fat loss just through omega-3. So again, really great stuff to go over today. Looking forward to it. Updates first. So again, I'm going to keep the updates super short, super simple. This podcast right now, debuting episode 2030. So head on over to stephencabral.com/2030. And that's where you will find all of the links for everything I talk about today. Including this first update that I want to bring you, which is on the new anti-aging podcast. So you may have seen over the last couple of months, I'm taking my 2,000 plus podcasts now, and I'm categorizing them. And I'm doing that just by popular request. People have asked me, can you tell me where to find all the podcasts on thyroid, where to find all the podcasts on hormones, on detox, on diet and nutrition, on what else do we have? Toxicity. I mean, literally, we've got a category for everything. The Ask Cabral is going to be coming out. There'll be a brain-based podcast coming out in another 6 weeks or so. So we've got a lot of categories for you. And again, just trying to make it super easy. So if you're into anti-aging, like I love the field of anti-aging. So I love what we do, which is the weight loss, body transformation from a healthy perspective. I love, of course, wellness. That's what it's all about. And I love the category of anti-aging. And I'm just slowly shifting my way over to predominantly anti-aging, not predominantly, but it's just because I have 2,000 podcasts now on how to get well. And we have a protocol on everything that you could imagine, which is clinically proven. I've been in practice now for 20 years. My team and I've overseen a team, and we've done over 250,000 client appointments. We know how to help rebalance digestion. We know how to help rebalance hormones and all sorts of different issues within men and women. Brain health. I gave podcasts on Alzheimer's and dementia, autoimmune issues, weak immune systems, skin rashes, migraines. Again, like I said, autoimmune, you name it. I mean, allergies, asthma. So there's literally a podcast, and then again, if it connects with you, only if it connects with you, well, then there's lab tests that you can run to prove it to yourself, or you might just move to the protocols and then to a maintenance-based plan, because you can't go back to the old lifestyle that created the dis-ease in the first place, nor would you want to, because you're going to be feeling so great. So that's all I'm trying to do is give people exactly how to lose the weight. That's first, because if you do that, most of your wellness issues are going to clear up, because when you lose weight in a healthy way, you get healthier. And a healthy body can't be overweight. A healthy body can't be sick. But then if there's anything left to work on, autoimmune issues, skin issues, migraines, headaches, you name it, okay, then we work on that. And then as I say, okay, now is the fun part. Now you get to work on all the anti-aging things that, in my opinion, you should start working on in your mid to late 30s at the latest, because every year that you get a head start on it, well, that actually, believe it or not, adds years on the back end. And I would say, as importantly, it adds quality years, so quality of life for the rest of your life. And that includes internal and external. So skin, hair, nails, external. And then internal energy, vitality, zest for life, right? All that, the things that we want. So anyway, anti-aging podcast, it's already debuted. So you can find the link over at stephencabral.com/2030 for all today's links. But also, just keep in mind, you can go to stephencabral.com/podcasts, and you can there's images at the top on mobile or a desktop, scroll through them till you find the category, and you'll also find all sorts of other categories that you might like to listen to as well. All right. That is that for the updates. You know what? I'm going to keep it at that for today. End of summer. We're going to be rolling into Labor Day weekend here in the United States next week. Yeah, about next week, which is pretty wild. It's pretty amazing. My daughters will be going back to school after that. And so who knows what this school year will bring, but I'm just going to do my best to try to stay strong for them and be as good of a role model as I can for them and just enjoy life. That's really what it's all about. So it's like we need to do our best. We need to stay healthy, and we need to stay strong for those people around us as well. So again, I'm staying optimistic. I know a lot of people out there, there's a lot of negative thoughts, a lot of negative thinking about what might happen and all these things. But again, we can't always control our external environment, but we can always control our reaction to it. And that does not mean that we need to just say, okay, well, this is what everyone says to do, so this is what we should do. You know, if you believe in it, then you do it. If you don't believe in it, I don't believe that like people need to be forced necessarily to do things that they don't feel the right decision for them, because we all have different beliefs. And I just support people in general. I support you. You come to me and you just say, you know what? I don't use or eat any animal-based products. Okay, good. We'll get a nutrition plan. We can certainly help you with that. Or you have another person that says, hey, I don't believe in using any pharmaceuticals. We say, well, you know, life-saving conditions, maybe that's something that you should think about. They say, no, not at all. Okay, well, we still have to help that person to the best of our ability, right? So I'm here just to support you, and I do really support you in how you decide to live your life for you and your family. All right, that is it for the updates. What am I talking about this week? I would love to show you the product, but the product is so new that it just hit our fulfillment house just a few days ago. So I'm going to show you a bottle that's not dissimilar looking to it. This one is our CBD soft gels, and in its own right, a phenomenal product, the CBD oil, phenomenal product, full spectrum CBD, all organic, no harsh solvents, no pesticides, full spectrum. I mean, we're talking about the best of the best. And of course, the proof, as they say, is in the pudding, meaning like you take this and you feel a difference. A lot of people use CBD and they're like, I don't really feel anything. Well, one, the dosage is too small, or two, the product's not very good, right? That's really what it's all about. So here's the thing. Of course, in general, we guarantee everything. I mean, that's just the bottom line, because if you really make a quality product, well, guarantee it. And that's, of course, what we do. But today's not about guarantees. I want to debut a brand new product, and that is our CBD pain relief anti-inflammatory based cream. It's a phenomenal based product, and it helps with exactly what it's talking about. If you have aching muscles, aching joints, painful joints, your body's feeling tight, worn out, this is a phenomenal product for that. And here's the reason why. We took the best of CBD that you can put in a cream, which is broad spectrum CBD, which means you get a broad spectrum of all the different cannabinoids, not an isolate, okay? One, there's a lot of debate if isolate is even legal or not. And number two, broad spectrum allows many different isolates into one, which is why it's not called an isolate. It's a broad spectrum, broad spectrum of cannabinoids. So we took that, but then, and I'm going to be talking about this later in the show, so I don't want to kind of spoil it. I took two Ayurvedic herbs that I use used first in Sri Lanka, and then I used them in India when we made, they called them herbal decoctions, but they were herbal oils that we would use. They would call them medicines as well, but again, not modern medicine, right, or conventional medicine. They were oils, usually with a sesame base, not always, and infused with 2 specific herbs that would bring amazing pain relief to individuals with joint pain, muscle pain and stiffness, and things like rheumatoid arthritis. So I'm going to bring you those herbs just a little bit later in the show. But if you want, and the nice thing is this, whenever I can't always do this. I can't always do this, but my team knows that I like to do it. Whenever we have a new product coming out, I like to debut it. I like to give it away for free if I can. And and again, because I always want you to say, I don't know if it's right for me. And again, I don't necessarily know if it is either, but I know that the product works. That's what I can tell you. So you can get your bottle on all qualifying orders completely free when you go to equa.life this week while supplies last. Now, you won't see the product on equa.life because we can't have CBD products on equa.life. And that's a story that I've shared many, many times before. But either way, if you want to see what the product is, go to equilibriumcbd.com. A separate website, just our CBD-based products. Check it out. Amazing, a nice little site just with our CBD products. But all qualifying orders over at equa.life, I believe it's over $129. Don't quote me on that, but I believe it will say it on the site. It will just say pain relief cream. That's our CBD pain relief cream with the Ayurvedic herbs. And we ship to 42 states in the United States, any states that allow us. And unfortunately, we can't ship outside of US-based borders. That's not our rule. Unfortunately, it's other countries' rules, and we do play by the rules. All right, get your free bottle, though, while supplies last over at equa.life. And I'm going to be talking about those 2 herbs in just a moment. So even if you don't want to use our CBD pain relief cream, you can find out those 2 herbs as well. All right, quick podcast recap before we get to those. And this was a fun week for me for podcasts. So I hope that you enjoyed them. The podcast this week was on 2026. That was a Mindset and Motivation Monday. And it was how to break the cycle of negative thinking. Hopefully you tuned into that. Keep in mind, 91% of all of your thoughts every single day are exactly the same as the day before. Literally, they're just variations of the same exact thoughts. So I teach you how to rewire that, rewrite it, recode it for brand new, much more positive and life-affirming thoughts. All right, episode 2027 was the dangers of yeast and why it may not be a superfood, especially if you're dealing with autism, pandas, mental health-based issues or imbalances, anxiety, panic, you name it. And so you want to check that out, even things like high blood pressure. So that was 2027. 2028 was sugar and carbohydrates do not cause diabetes, ? And, all that's super controversial show, right? Especially in a world of low carb. How can you say that people should be eating sugar and carbohydrates? Well, you'll have to tune into that show to see what actually I do say. And spoiler alert, carbs don't cause diabetes, but I do share what does. Now, again, I know that's very controversial, and I get it. Carbohydrates exacerbate conditions when your cells are already a mess, we'll put it that way, but they're not what started in the first place. So they're blamed as the bad guy because glucose in the blood goes up. Again, check out that show. Really controversial, but I like to present both sides of the story, and so that's what I did. And then yesterday's show was one of our first case studies ever. So I actually took you through what it's like to look at a functional medicine lab, and I actually took a private wellness client and I said, here's the symptoms they came in with, what their previous health history was, how they were doing better, why they started to relapse. We looked at this lab and we were able to decipher why and the program and protocol that would start to get them back on the right track. So if you like the case studies, let me know. Anything that you like, let me know you want more of that, because remember, it's really not my podcast. It's this community's podcast. Over 22 million downloads now, maybe 25 million downloads. I don't know. That number is not super important to me. I just like to see that people are downloading the show, so that unsubscribing on iTunes and other players, so that I know that hopefully I'm bringing you some value, and whatever is doing better, right? Whatever you like, I'm going to do more of that. That's really what it's all about, because the goal is the message, right? How do we get the message out to the most amount of people? And if there are messages that people don't resonate with, well, I have to do less of that, because that's not really what people want to hear. And then, of course, if there are topics that you want to hear more of, well, we'll do more of that. All right. Let's get to those 2 Ayurvedic herbs that I've been teasing. Well, here's the thing. When I was, again, I'm just going to go back to my Sri Lanka days, and to me, Sri Lanka was one of my favorite internships, because my world was turned upside down, because I had never experienced anything like it, from a immersion into Ayurveda and a difference in lifestyle. So I literally got off an airplane after like a day and a half of travel, probably 30 hours of travel. I was exhausted, from sitting in the coach with, 3 or 4 people deep per aisle, 16-hour flight, plus another 8, plus another like 3. And it was wild. And I get off, and you're supposed to go through customs. Nobody was there checking anything at customs. And I'm just in a sea of Sri Lankan people, which are amazing people, and nobody speaks English. And I'm like, oh, I am an American, and I am way over my head. I didn't think this through. And so I said, okay, we need to get to this address. How do I do that? Especially when no one speaks English. So luckily, and this is back in the day. I mean, this is back in the day. This is no like international travel plans with data and all that. So I had printouts, luckily, and I just showed it to a taxi driver, and I said, hey, can you take me here? And obviously he didn't speak any English, so I pointed to it. And anyway, I ended up at the clinic that I was supposed to be at. As they say, the rest is history. I learned so much, such amazing doctors that I got to work with, amazing patients. I think there was 200 patients at this clinic at any given time. Phenomenal. Anyway, so what we did there is I had to pass exams before I could work with any of their patients at the clinic. And obviously that makes sense. That's smart to do. And what we did, though, was one part of it was body work. So I didn't even know Ayurveda did a lot of body work, but lo and behold, there's body work, right? Besides marmor points, there's actual body work. So one of the things that we did was we had about 12 different oils that we would use for the, not just panchakarma. So obviously panchakarma is moving the lymphatic tissue to be able to drain a lot of the toxins. Then we would sweat it out. I mean, absolutely phenomenal. But that's a story for another day. One day I'll make a documentary, hopefully, about all these different things. But what I want to share with you right now is that for people with specific pain-based conditions, we use certain oils. And one of the ingredients in that was menthol. And so this was more, I knew this one because of products like a Tiger Balm or something like that, right? And so it contains a menthol, and the menthol is very cooling and it's very soothing when you put it on tight muscles or stiff joints or anything like that. And it can help calm certain spasms, even though I would say that's more of an internal issue with sodium or potassium or magnesium. Those are all things that will help with spasms as well. But menthol, too, a lot of us know it as like in a cough drop, right? So you take a cough drop or you do some chest rub and it kind of soothes your throat. Okay, so the menthol is a nice one. However, the big one that was brand new to me was something called camphor. And so when we used camphor, again, all natural, plant-based, when we use camphor, and you basically what you're doing is you're taking the herb, I believe it's a tree from camphor tree, and then you're using something called steam distillation, and you are infusing the herb into an oil. The water all boils off, and you're left with a concentrated version of camphor in oil. And we would use that a full body for people with arthritis, but we would really focus on the joints that had the biggest issues. But in Ayurveda, it's also used for skin rashes. It's also used for any inflammation of the skin and irritations, and even bug bites. So there's plenty of mosquitoes in Sri Lanka. So that was a big thing that we used. And the other thing that's now been proven to be helpful with are things like toenail fungus. I get a lot of questions on that. People using it with things like burns, and it's even helping with wrinkles and rebuilding collagen. However, I just want to state this, make sure you do not get it in your eyes. You don't want menthol or camphor in your eyes. One more thing to say about this is that the two of those combined together are unbelievable for pain and unbelievable for stiff muscles. And they bring more circulation to the area, which is how the body can also help begin the repair process. So I'm a huge fan. So that's why I took these two ingredients and I mixed them with a broad spectrum organic CBD. Pretty amazing. And again, you can find that in the new CBD pain relief cream at eco.life. But I wanted to say, hey, let's say you're in one of the states we can't ship it to or somewhere in the world, you can still get your hands on good quality menthol and camphor-based oils or rubs. All right. I want to go over a book review today. That book is by one of my favorite authors and speakers because it's just like wisdom. It's literally wisdom coming out of his mouth when he speaks. I didn't even know that he was that controversial. I don't even know why he's controversial. I don't understand that. I don't understand a lot of controversy online. Like if someone shares an opinion and it's different from someone else's, it doesn't have to mean that it's controversial. It just means it's a different opinion. I'm not even going to get into that because I don't fully understand it. I think I look at the world maybe a little bit differently. And I love hearing differing viewpoints because then I get to say, maybe it's not all or one. Maybe things aren't, just one variation or another. Maybe like there's different shades of that, gray that we're looking at for different people. But anyway, this is by Gabor Mate. He's a retired physician, so he's no longer in clinical practice. He does recommend other people, but he's in over 20 years of family practice and palliative care. And for at least a decade, he worked with drug addiction and mental illness. He wrote a book a while back called When the Body Says No, Understanding the Stress-Disease Connection. I read this a while back, maybe like 3 or 4 years ago. I think 3 years ago or so. I don't have that exactly, but I didn't find that I had already shared it with you. And so I wanted to make sure that I shared this book with you. And just the intro to this book is basically, it says, can a person literally die of loneliness? Is there such a thing as a cancer personality? Drawing on scientific research and the author's decades of experience as a practicing physician, this book provides answers to these and other important questions about the effect of the mind-body link on illness and health in the role that stress in one's individual emotional makeup play in an array of common diseases. Explores the role of the mind-body link in conditions in diseases such as arthritis, cancer, diabetes, heart disease, IBS, and multiple sclerosis. Draws on medical research and the author's clinical experience as a family physician. Includes the 7 A's of healing principles of healing and the prevention of illness from hidden stress. So it's a great book. It's not that thick of a book. I apologize. Right now I'm recording this outside of my Boston office, so I don't have the book, which is in my Boston office from a few years back, but it is an excellent book, and I'll link it up today at 20:30. All right. I know I'm up on my time today, but I want to share with you 2 research studies. Every single Friday, I like to bring you 2 research studies. This first one on omega-3 supplementation decreases adipose tissue, that means fat, and inflammation in obesity. So here's what it said. Previously thought to only be fat storage, adipose tissue is now considered to be an endocrine organ with increased pro-inflammatory macrophages that play a role in disease development. This study investigates whether supplementation of omega-3 fatty acids could target adipose tissue inflammation and improve insulin resistance in obese adults. So what they looked at was participants 18 to 65 years old. They were non-smokers. That's really important to look at that. And they had a BMI of greater than 30. That means they were in the obese space category. They looked at insulin sensitivity response. They did fat biopsies, plasma-free fatty acids, immunohistochemistry. They looked at apolipoprotein or big E. They also looked at certain blood markers. Before and after 3 months of 4 grams a day of fish oil supplementation with meals. And they found that daily fish oil supplementation for 3 months, that's 12 weeks, significantly improved plasma-free fatty acid concentration and adipose tissue inflammation. They were categorized by a 25% increase in insulin-stimulated glucose uptake. That means they got more sugar out of the blood into the tissues. And they improved the ApoE, mRNA, and subcutaneous fat, and increase plasma ApoE, an important lipoprotein and fat metabolism. In addition, inflammatory cytokines were reduced, and improvements in plasma-free fatty acids were associated with decreased adiponectin. All right, what does all that mean? It means that the people who took 4 grams of fish oil a day who were in the obese category, greater BMI than 30, if you want to find your own BMI, it's free. Just go to stephencabral.com/assessments. And that's an online calculator for you right there, as well with your ideal body weight. Again, it doesn't mean that you have to be a certain body weight. It's actually a parameter of about 40 pounds per person. So it's a nice little take on essentially our bodies and how they're all unique. So what I want to share with you, here's the thing. They decreased inflammation, they improved blood sugar, they improved insulin, and they were overall healthy with 4 grams of fish oil a day, and they didn't do anything else. So what does that mean? Well, I don't know if I have them here, so I do, because I have a ton of supplements on my desk right now. Product like this, again, you don't have to use the products that I'm recommending to you. I can just assure you that Equilife does third-party testing, that these are free of heavy metals, and it's over 1,000 milligrams per soft gel of omega-3. The serving size is 2 soft gels. That means you get 2 grams a day. That's what we recommend for the average person. You take it mid-meal, like with dinner, and you're done. Well, what if you're in the obese category and you want to improve all categories? Well, you could take 4 a day, 2 at lunch and 2 at dinner. Honestly, as easy as that. Now, along with the same time, lose the weight as well to get the body overall healthier. So what are we doing? 21-day functional medicine detox, move on to the fat velocity system after that. Once you get your BMI lower, let's say it's after 12, 16 weeks, then go down to 2 a day of the omega-3. So again, I think that people make overall health and overall weight loss way too complicated. I really do. It's about getting the body healthier, and it's about bringing up nutrient deficiencies and removing toxicities. Again, studies like this prove this. Nutrient deficiencies. You need to combat all the inflammation while you have extra body fat, because body fat creates more inflammation. That's what it just says. I mean, that we know that now. So how do you combat inflammation? One of the number 1 products we know is omega-3s. Like that's literally it. All right. So I'm going to keep it at that. Always happy to answer more questions, so feel free to write them in. All right. The last study for the day. Cinnamon improves numerous metabolic markers in metabolic syndrome patients. So metabolic syndrome is basically high cholesterol, high bad cholesterol, your LDL cholesterol are oxidized, oftentimes low good cholesterol, high triglycerides, which is a poor marker for liver-based function and potentially increased fructose or certain fats that it can't break down, and then higher levels of blood sugar. So people with these issues of higher levels of blood sugar, higher levels of cholesterol, higher levels of triglycerides often have cardiovascular-based issues, and they oftentimes can have type 2 diabetes and or high blood pressure. They all go together, right? They all literally go together. So very interesting. Again, what am I looking to give you? Just some super easy things to do. Would this be the only thing that I do? No, I'm going to link up all this because, I mean, this is some serious studies on all 3 of these things, and at least 8 weeks was needed to see significant improvement in metabolic parameters, and the dose that was used of cinnamon is 1.5 grams per day, and there was no greater advantage than adding the 1.5 grams. So pretty easy. You can measure very easily 1.5 grams of cinnamon. Cinnamon can't be taken on its own. You can't really swallow cinnamon. It's actually kind of dangerous. What can you do? Well, if you want to make one of my favorites to do is if you make like a chocolate banana. So if you use like chocolate daily nutritional support and you put in a frozen banana in that and you add some cinnamon, it's pretty delicious. So now you can get your cinnamon with your smoothie. Easy way to take it. You can also put cinnamon on many other of your favorite foods that you like. It goes great on squash and other items like that. So easy to do. It's going to help overall with blood sugar. That's going to help with inflammation. That's going to help then with cholesterol, triglycerides, and so much more. These are easy things to implement. Is it the only thing you should implement? No, but remember, there's so much research out there. The research is in natural health and it does work. So hopefully this was helpful. Please do feel free to share this show with anyone you believe it could serve. And I'll be back tomorrow with answering your questions on the Cabral Health Calls. Take care, everyone. Thank you so much for tuning into today's show, and I want to share with you this exclusive offer going on right now over at Equa.life, but it is for our podcast listeners and email newsletter subscribers only, and that is because we are not allowed to sell CBD-based products on Equa.life for various regulatory reasons. However, we are actually giving away our brand new CBD pain relief cream on all qualifying orders over $129 over at Equa.life. That means you get this brand new pain relief cream that contains 2 very powerful Ayurvedic-based herbs, 2 things that I used for many years when I was practicing in not only my own practice, but overseas in clinics. And that is with camphor oil that we used for aching joints, skin irritations, etc. It's also great for the skin to help rebuild collagen. So that was really fantastic for people dealing with joint-based pain. And then menthol for those dealing with muscle aches, inflexibility, inflammation as well. So all of that combined with a broad spectrum CBD oil that's going to give you all of that powerful pain relief. So if you're looking for a pain relief cream that enables you to get your body moving again, you'll want to check out Equa.life. That's EQUI.LIFE. It will show up as pain relief cream when you check out, completely free on all qualifying orders while supplies last, over $129. Check it out over at Equa.life.